So I saw Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning last night in Chicago at an early press screening, and after driving 3 hours to Chicago and watching the 3 hour movie, I came to the realization that I was in a parking garage that charges $20 an hour, and I had to get out of there because I was going broke. Typically, I do these first reactions in the movie theater, but now I'm here in the Flick Cave, so let's talk about the movie, and I'll just give you some quick reactionary thoughts on it. Overall, I think this movie delivers on the promise of Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise stuff and death-defying stunts with practical stunt work. There's an awesome aerial fight. There's an awesome scuba diving sequence where he goes into the depths of the ocean, and it's almost terrifying, and that put me on the edge of my seat. And if for nothing else, this film is definitely worth the price of admission and overpriced popcorn for the two big action set pieces that you see Tom Cruise perform. But as far as the story goes at times throughout this 3 hour runtime, and keep in mind, this is a 3 hour movie that doesn't necessarily need to be 3 hours, I feel like it gets a bit contrived at times, a bit convoluted, and there is so much expositional dialogue in this film. I feel like if you took all the expositional dialogue where characters are just explaining the plot to get to the next action scene, there's probably at least an hour of it throughout this film. The first hour of this movie feels like they're just telling you what happened in the previous movie. So there's that. As far as the main antagonist of the movie goes, the character Gabriel, who was one of my least favorite aspects about the previous installment, yeah, you get more of him. I also think the entire plot of the film where you have the entity, this AI that's rogue, I feel like on paper the concept is really interesting, but as far as the execution goes at times, it's like, yeah, you could take it or leave it. But one thing I was really taken back by throughout this movie was the satire. There is so much self-awareness of how absurd this movie is from the characters in the movie, where it almost feels like a parody of itself, and at times it really does work, and it was some of the most comedic moments of the movie, but at other times it sort of takes you out of it just a little bit. But they fully embrace what this movie is. And for me, I feel like this is a nice throwback to what 1990s action movies were, those 1990s action blockbusters you'd watch in the theater with your dad on the weekend because your parents are divorced, and this is the kind of movies you go to watch with your dad, or at least I did. So there's that. I think a lot of this movie does work. What you want it to get right, it does. But as far as the story goes, it's serviceable at best. So those are my initial thoughts on Mission Impossible, the Final Reckoning. And the biggest question is this the Final Reckoning? Well, in this franchise, it's been going on for 30 years. I guess anything's possible, but at this point, I'm not quite sure what else Ethan Hunt could do to possibly save the world once again. So if you're hyped to see this movie, leave your thoughts, your opinions down below. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking, and I will have a full-fledged review coming very soon. All right, take care. Bye.